On News Hour tonight, insecurity forces closure of 188 schools across northern Nigeria. Kano State Governor seeks removal of State Police Commissioner. Reactions trail President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's national broadcast on 65th Independence Anniversary. On the foreign scene, South African court convicts opposition leader Malema over violations of the law. Hello and welcome to News Hour on Trust TV. I am Muhammad Kudu Abubakar. At least 188 public schools have At least 188 public schools have been closed across northern Nigeria as insecurity forces thousands of children out of their classrooms. A Daily Trust investigation shows that in Zamfara State, Zamfara State leads with 39 closed schools, followed by Benue State with 55, Katsina 52, Niger 30, and Sokoto and Kaduna 6 each. Many of the schools have either been deserted, converted into IDP shelters, or taken over by security forces. In Katsina State, more than 300 students have been abducted since 2020, including the infamous Ankara kidnapping. Governor Dikoradda recently admitted that insecurity has crippled schools, markets, and farmlands across several local government councils of Katsina State. In Niger State, schools in Rafi and Shiroro remain abandoned, with Government Science College Kagara now housing troops. In Kaduna State, entire villages have fled, leaving classrooms empty. Zamfara and Sokoto communities also report schools now occupied by displaced families or even armed groups. Benue State recorded 55 closures in 1 year alone, while Kebbi's Federal Government Girls College, Birnin Yauri, remains shut after the 2021 mass abduction. Parents say they are now forced to enroll children only in schools, closed towns, or relocate them entirely. Education is warned that the prolonged shutdowns will deepen poverty and illiteracy in a region already struggling with some of the country's highest numbers of out-of-school children. UNICEF says Nigeria is at risk of losing a generation to learning poverty unless urgent action is taken. Nigerians appear split over President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's 65th Independence Address to the country, where he expressed optimism that the country is on the path of recovery through his administration's reforms. While some argue that his words reflect signs of progress despite rising hunger, insecurity, and higher cost of living, others dismiss it as the usual political rhetoric meant to boost public confidence in the Tinubu administration. Trust TV's Shafiu Suleiman has this perspective.
In his third Independence Day speech, President Tinubu highlighted what he called milestones of his reform agenda aimed at resetting the country.
Our administration is setting things right now. I'm pleased to report that we have finally turned the corner. The worst is over, I say. Yesterday's pains are giving way to relief.
Acknowledging the pains that come with such change, the president urged young Nigerians to embrace the challenge, dream big, and take advantage of opportunities he says his government is creating.
The man has a focus for the country, but the present situation which we are now, many people did not understand. He's taking us towards a promised land.
Which is real. Because we always think about the daily activities of the Nigerians. We don't even look at what will happen in the next 2 to 3 years. Because ordinary man on the streets is only after what he can get today.
He assured, with resilience and courage, Nigeria will overcome its difficulties and reach a brighter future. But respondents say those words must be backed by action and strong political will.
The reason why most of us don't believe what they are saying anymore is because they are failed in Nigerians. So whoever comes to the power to tell us what they have for the ordinary man, they have for us, we the ordinary citizens, to believe.
Are you talking of dollar exchange rate of our currency? Are you talking of the price of commodity compared to the last now? I don't think there's something changed in that way. We're only praying that in times to come, maybe things will change.
Deeper on Nigeria's progress 65 years after independence. Many agree the nation still holds enormous potential if its leaders can effectively harness it. Shapir Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
As Nigeria celebrates 65 years of independence, the question remains, how do we honor those who fought for freedom? From Herbert Macaulay to Nnamdi Azikiwe to Fumilayo Ransome Kuti or Margaret Ekpo and Aminu Kano, these esteemed personalities who struggle for self-rule and nation-building. In this report, Neil Sampson asks how they are remembered today and if their sacrifices still carry meaning for the new generation. The report.
Nigeria's independence was not achieved by politicians alone. Behind the famous names were other patriots, labor leaders, writers, youth activists, and women who gave their lives to the cause. Figures like Elizabeth Adukungbe, Michael Imodu, Sahadu Zungo, Abubakar Imam, Raji Abdullah, and Abiodun Aloba stood shoulder to shoulder with the likes of Azikiwe, Awolowo, Bello, and Balewa. Political historian Professor Alkasum Abba says independence was truly a collective fight and that the unsung heroes deserve as much recognition as better-known ones.
Whatever you want to say about them, the politicians of the First Republic, whatever you want to say about them, you must acknowledge that they had high level of patriotism. And this is reflected in their governance. You will check what the three premiers have been able to do. You will check what Tafawa Balewa was able to do as Prime Minister. You will check Zik, even though he was a figurehead, but he was a big inspiration to the younger generation. You know, when the young people were setting up a radical movement, that's why they call it Zik's movement, named after him. So these people were really very good, especially when you compare them with the contemporary situation we are in, which is really unbecoming.
Elder statesman Jake Ebele describes that generation as visionary, selfless, and deeply patriotic.
Well, I think I've started on a philosophical note to say that you will be remembered by the problem you created or the problems you solved. These were statesmen like no other. They were patriotic, they were focused, they wanted independence for a country that they are only part as a segment, they are tribe, but they wanted a united Nigeria, and they fought for it, and here we are today. Unfortunately, the present crop of leaders are doing everything possible to ruin all that our heroes past, the founders of this nation had done. And I think it's something that anybody should think twice before taking decisions, before taking actions.
Today, many young Nigerians still respect the sacrifices of that era, but they also felt let down. Corruption, poverty, and bad governance, they say, have dimmed the ideas of justice, unity, progress that the independent leaders stood for.
I appreciate the foundation they laid, but the way things are going now, especially the recent leaders that we have, they are not doing the right thing. We don't have good leadership, honestly. So that's just it.
Labor of our heroes past is not in vain. It's not in vain.
Why? Because of the way we are progressing?
Yes, because of the way we are progressing. It's not in vain. We'll get there.
When the people that succeeded them, they put us in a mess. You know, definitely we got independent from Britain and we are colonized by our own people. That's just the thing.
Well, if I say that the labors of our heroes past are not mean anything to me, I will be lying, because those guys actually tried. They gave a very good account of themselves. But the issue remains the people they left behind. What have they done with the foundation that the founding fathers laid? So, to that extent, I can say that we are disappointing them. In fact, all of them should be turning in their grave.
For them, the labor of our heroes past is not just a line in the anthem, it's a reminder that every generation must take up the struggle for a fairer and more united Nigeria. Remembering Nigeria's independence heroes is not just about history, it's about inspiring today's citizens to keep building the country they dreamed of, a stronger, fairer, and more hopeful Nigeria. Well, Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Still on the 65th independent anniversary of Nigeria, Kano State Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf has threatened to petition the National Security Advisor over what he called the absence of the Nigeria Police Force at the state's 65th Independence Day parade, calling for the immediate removal of the State Commissioner of Police, Ibrahim Bakori. Governor Yusuf made the declaration during the Independence Day celebrations in Kano, describing the police absence as unpatriotic and deliberate attempt to undermine the event. He expressed disappointment that for the first time in many years, the Nigeria Police Force failed to participate in the Independence Day parade, which also resulted in the withdrawal of key security personnel from the celebration. Governor Abba Yusuf said such actions send the wrong signal about cooperation between state institutions and the national security agencies.
And on behalf of all the Kano people, we condemned this unnatural attitude of the CP today. And history will be there. You can see I used my own pilot car to go around. This is unethical. This is unprofessional. This is disservice to the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I therefore wish to seize this opportunity to call on the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR. We know he is a thorough man. We know he is a no-nonsense man. I am saying this. We call respectfully on him to remove the Commissioner of Police from Kano State today.
Back to other news, the Nigerian Railway Corporation says it has resumed passenger train services on the Abuja-Kaduna corridor. The corporation on Wednesday said all necessary checks and have been concluded on the train, adding that Wednesday had been scheduled as maintenance for the Abuja-Kano train service. The NRC's Chief Public Relations Officer, Callistus Unyimadu, had earlier stated that the commercial service will recommence following the successful completion of all required safety, technical, and operational checks. The development followed the train's derailment on August the 26th, 2025, the second to occur at the same station within 13 months. The incident happened shortly after a manually operated switch point that had been previously declared unserviceable was passed. An investigation by the Nigeria Safety Investigation Bureau, NSIB, revealed that the train derailment was triggered by defective infrastructure and lapses in safety management by the Nigeria Railway Corporation. The Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, PENGASN, has suspended its planned nationwide strike after reaching a truce with the federal government. The union had embarked on an industrial action over unresolved welfare and operational issues affecting her members, raising fears of disruption in the oil and gas sector. Following a marathon meeting with government officials in Abuja, PENGASN announced that it had secured assurances on key demands, including improved working conditions and timelines for implementation. The union urged its members to return to work while monitoring the government's commitment to the agreement.
The impact of this agreement or any part of this communique as put up by the Ministry of Labour that is broken, we will not give any notice. We will not give any warning. We will resume the suspended industrial action immediately. So that was the resolution of NEC. So we call out the industrial action as a respect to the government of the land. We call out the industrial action as a respect to those that mediated, between Pengassan and Dangote, as a respect to them. But we know and we believe and we suspect that some part of those that are supposed to implement this, they mislead. But we are ready as Pengassan to always do the needful.
Kogi State government and people are mourning the death of the victims of the boat accident which occurred on the River Niger. According to reports, the traders were traveling from the Ibaji local government area of the state to Ulushi Market in Edo State on the evening of Tuesday, September the 30th, 2025, when the incident occurred. A statement by the State's Commissioner for Information and Communications, Kingsley Fanwo, on Wednesday said death toll in the accident had risen to 26. The governor further assured that the state government will intensify ongoing efforts in collaboration with the federal agencies to improve safety measures on its waterways in order to prevent a reoccurrence of such a tragedy. He called on Nigerians, especially riverine communities, to always prioritize safety by avoiding overloading and by using life jackets and other precautionary measures whenever they travel by water. As Nigeria marks its 65th independence anniversary, a cross-section of Nigerians in Katsina have expressed mixed feelings about the nation's journey from 1960 to date. Many believe that Nigeria's pre-independence and early post-independence years were the country's finest, socially, educationally, and economically. While speaking with Trust TV's Abdullahi Ahmadi, some of them criticized President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's allegedly neglecting victims of banditry, especially those from the Huntua zone. The report.
Some respondents noted that although the country has witnessed notable improvements in infrastructure, Nigerians are still grappling with widespread poverty, an unproductive education system, unemployment, and insecurity. According to them, while years of military intervention disrupted democratic governance, the lack of patriotism and competent leadership continues to hinder the establishment of functional institutions. Over the years, Nigeria has struggled with persistent decay in the power sector, corruption, systemic failures across key institutions, and above all, a weak judicial system.
The unity of Nigeria is not up to the expectation. And another challenge is corruption. Still now, and mostly if you are looking from 1960 to date, like the corruption is increasing. From what happened to the First Republic, to military government, come to the Second Republic, and down to the Third Republic, you could see that the issue of corruption is growing in the country. Any other challenges that you may mention, like security, insecurity, and growing rate of poverty out of the school children, all they are basis.
We have a lot of security challenges, more especially in the northern Nigeria. But now, with this government, they are trying at least the 50% of the insecurity has gone. So inshallah, we pray for our leaders and the country people to pray for our leaders and the nation.
Respondents further acknowledged that Nigeria as a nation has come a long way, surviving numerous challenges and turbulence, yet still remaining one entity. However, Katsina residents are calling for political and economic reforms aimed at bridging the gap between the rich and the poor and between leaders and the led. They also urged the government to remove existing economic barriers in education, health, and other sectors to reduce inequalities affecting vulnerable Nigerians.
We have witnessed a lot of series of changes and kind of development. You know, Nigeria is a very vast area, and issue like this is something tremendous in effort of the present administration. They have tried their best in seeing the welfare and the well-being of the citizens. We are very grateful.
Nigeria is 65 today, and we really thank God about that. We enjoy this special anniversary. We are grateful about the development in Nigeria. So I think we are developing.
In the same vein, a youth leader from Malamfashi local government area, Abdulaziz, criticized the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu-led administration for allegedly neglecting the Funtua zone, particularly during its most critical moments. Abdulaziz said the area has been grappling with insecurity, with dozens killed, hundreds abducted for ransom, and thousands of livestock rustled. He lamented that despite the magnitude of the crisis, the president neither visited Katsina nor donated relief materials to the victims, as he did in other parts of the country.
First Lady,
You see, according to available records, even the president's wife, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, visited some affected communities as part of broader efforts to restore peace and identify with victims during their difficult moments. Specifically, I'm referring to the gunman attack on Yelwata community in Benue State and other areas where fewer casualties compared to southern Katsina were recorded. What have we done as residents of Katsina? We deserve to be supported. While decrying the persistent insecurity in Katsina State, Abdulaziz called for sustained effort towards healing, recovery, and transformation that would restore peace through national reorientation. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
In Kaduna, the 63rd Independence celebration was marked in a low-key manner, without the usual parades by the military, police, and other security agencies. The cancellation of the official parade, earlier scheduled to hold at the Murtala Mohammed Square, forced pupils, students, and other residents to celebrate the day at parks and recreational centers across Kaduna City. Trust TV's Bello Musa went round the metropolis and captured the mood of the people as they celebrated.
Although vehicular movement on Kaduna streets reduced due to the public holiday, many residents went about their normal businesses unhindered. There were, however, no visible signs of celebrations such as wall paintings, inscribed T-shirts, or people carrying flags. Some people and schools marked the day at parks and recreational centers. The children, who reflected on the sacrifices of Nigerians' founding fathers, called on present leaders to improve their lives as the leaders of tomorrow.
They should build more schools for the children, and they should advise the parents to bring many children to the school.
To give us more encourage, to be encouraging us to be doing the education, because it can help us in the future.
We the children at our age now, what we need is more education. We need more education so we can be better, we can be great people in the future.
I met so many people and I make new friends.
As representatives of the future of the nation, leaders were advised to instill patriotism in children to ensure a prosperous Nigeria.
We want our younger ones to have the love for their country, just like other countries. For instance, places like India, China, and so on. You see how they love their country and they are always proud of their country. So that motivates the children to feel they really want to do something for the children, because in the next 10 to 20 years, these children, they will now be the leaders of the country.
I will use this opportunity to call the attention of those Nigerians
that they are saying that they did not see the value of this 1st October. They did not see any changes. We have seen the changes.
Suleiman Abubakar, a Kaduna resident, said he was on his farm when he first heard the news of Nigeria's independence. 65 years later, he reminisces about the past with nostalgia and mixed feelings over the current state of the nation. Modesty with sufficient food, despite limited means. Moreover, we were free from disease and insecurity. It's unfortunate that insecurity is now prevalent and we strongly oppose it. 65 years down the line, Nigeria has witnessed different political systems and leadership styles. But how politically enlightened are Nigerians today compared to the generation that fought for independence?
If you are talking about awareness with consciousness, those great-grandparents who fought for our independence are better than us. Because if the present generation were the ones that were confronted by colonial rule, probably we will not have resolved the problems of Nigeria.
He added that insecurity, ethno-religious crisis, and political instability have negatively shaped the minds of Nigerians, affecting both the nation's political culture and sense of patriotism.
Today, we are not struggling for our children. We are not even struggling for ourselves. We do not even think of our children. Most of us will be satisfied if we have the food to eat today without looking at our children who do not even go to school.
In the last 65 years of Nigeria's independence, the country has recorded both achievements and challenges across various sectors. Citizens are therefore calling for increased political awareness, stronger institutions, and conscious effort to build a more stable and democratic society. Bello Musa, Trust TV News Kaduna.
As they reflect on Nigeria's 65th independence anniversary, some senior citizens in Maiduguri, the Borno state capital, are advocating for a Nigeria that is devoid of ethnic differences, religious sentiments, and a leadership that they say should not pose a setback, but be a facilitator for democratic progress in the country. Among those who witnessed the leadership, security, and economy of the 60s, 70s, and 80s, they say they told Trust TV's Beatrice Kurusi on the sidelines of this year's independence anniversary in Maiduguri.
Nigeria experienced remarkable progress between the 1960s and 1980s, but the optimism of those early decades has since been dampened by a series of setbacks. These challenges, rooted in political instability, economic decline, and growing insecurity, stand in stark contrast to the hopes and unity that marked the nation's independence era. Today, the once strong nationalistic spirit appears eroded, weakened by ethnic divisions, corruption, and self-serving political interests, despite the country's abundant natural resources. Our problems began when successive administrations started increasing fuel prices. That was when our economy and productivity began to decline. In those days, it was rare to hear of killings or bomb blasts in communities. People could travel freely at any time, and we all lived in peace. There was nothing like kidnapping or banditry. But now insecurity has become digitalized. Our past leaders were fair. They ran inclusive governments built on mutual understanding. They empowered their people and stood for justice.
The people in Nigeria at that time and their behavior, and the people who are in Nigeria now and those in control, their mode of operation is different. In the past in Nigeria, everybody was his brother's keeper. But now everybody is me for myself and I and myself. So you see, there is bound to be difference. When Nigeria was as a community, when I could talk to you, I could correct you, I could make observations, and you will agree in good faith, is different. When tribes and region and religion did not matter in the past, Nigeria was a peaceful place. Nigeria was a place you would love to be. But now they have polarized the society.
I was talking about what happened to the country. The interregnum of the military is now affecting the military. The military is so overburdened now that everybody expects the military to solve the security problem going on now. Number one, the military, some of their commanders are suffering from carryover of old ideals which are not suitable for the contemporary war we are fighting.
Mohammed Meizabura attributes some of the nation's difficulties to fluctuating oil prices and a leadership style that prioritize personal gain over national development. The residents call for a better Nigeria, one free from insecurity and built on inclusive leadership that promotes unity, justice, and equality for all citizens. Today's leaders hardly engage in community development. Once they are elected into office, they lose touch with the grassroots. I would advise the government and leaders to reduce the price of fuel so that the living conditions of Nigerians can improve.
Formerly, we had only the Nigerian army and the Nigerian police, but now we have, because of the insecurity being felt, we have so many things introduced: civil defense, vigilante, all this. They were not there before because they were not needed. So there is tremendous insecurity.
We need a census to be able to wake up the leaders to understand that these are the human beings you are dealing with. And these are the amount of young people you are dealing with in Nigeria. If you do not handle them very well, one day you wake up and they will turn against you. And if that day comes, may God help the leaders and whoever is in charge.
Despite the many setbacks, many Nigerians still believe that the country can achieve a meaningful change. Until then, citizens continue to hold on to hope for a brighter and more prosperous future. Bitrus Kuruti, Trust TV News, Maiduguri.
This is News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up after the break, Jalingo Market crisis ends as council allows rental operations. We'll have more news when we return. Don't go away. Welcome back. If you are just joining us, you're watching News Hour on Trust TV. Let's take a look at our top stories again. Insecurity forces closure of 188 schools across northern Nigeria. And Kano State Governor seeks removal of the State Police Commissioner, CP Bakori. Moving on now, 65 years after Nigeria's independence and nearly 6 decades since the death of Sir Ahmadu Bello, the Sardauna of Sokoto and Premier of northern Nigeria, his influence is still felt across the north and beyond. From institutions he founded to the historical landmarks in Kaduna that once served as the political heartbeat of the region, the debate continues on how much of that legacy endures today. Bello Musa tells us more.
65 years after Nigeria's independence and 59 years after the passing of Sir Ahmadu Bello, the Sardauna of Sokoto, his legacy still shapes the lives of Northerners and Nigerians at large.
We say the biggest legacy he left to us is that of education, health, and any other thing, even infrastructure. Because if you look at it, around in the whole of the north now, when it used to be about, I think, 12 provinces, there's no place that he did not leave something, that is still there, outstanding.
Think of Kaduna Polytechnic, in Kaduna Metropolis, it has over the past many decades graduated or produced, world-class engineers, in the field of mechanical engineering, civil engineering, electrical engineering. People, when you see them working in foreign lands, especially in the Western world, in Europe and UK, Europe, and then part of the US, for example, they beat, they stand the test of time, and to some extent, they perform even better than their foreign counterparts. So Kaduna Polytechnic is still there, part of the legacies of late Sir Ahmadu Bello the Sadon of Sokoto. Think of Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, the largest university in sub-Saharan Africa.
As the capital of northern Nigeria, Kaduna once served as the political and social-cultural hub where decisions defining the region's future were made. Many argue that Kaduna has lost that central role, but to historians, its relevance remains.
And some influential intellectuals who constitute themselves in what it was then known as Kaduna Mafia. So these are policy think tanks who will review any new policy, dissect it, and see how it affects old northern region and even the country in general. And they were given powerful, position, and their voices are taken into serious account. But again, as a military, during the military era, because of prolonged military, era and their own kind of politics, they carry out a lot of policies that later relegate those, even intellectual to the background.
Is still the base of political ideas, political ideology, political debate, and intellectual discourse. If you look at it carefully, when the capital was transferred from Lagos to Abuja, it made Kaduna to become more important because of its proximity to Abuja and because it is the gateway to the entire areas of northern Nigeria. Places like Ario House, that is where most of these politicians of nowadays converge to discuss issues of national importance, to find a way of handling some of the major challenges that the North is facing today.
One of Kaduna's most symbolic sites is Lord Lugard Hall, built by the colonial government around 1914. Its design, inspired by Lord Lugard's experience in India, housed the Regional House of Assembly and the Council of Chiefs. Today, it serves as the legislative chamber of the Kaduna State House of Assembly. Nearby stands the Lugard Tower, first constructed in 1914. The tower once marked the entrance to Lord Lugard's residence behind Lugard Hall. Originally constructed in Zungeru, Niger State in 1904, before being moved to Gamji Gate in 1954, it was known as Lord Lugard Footbridge and was also declared a historic monument in 1956. Two additional towers were also erected in Kaduna to commemorate the February 1956 visit of Queen Elizabeth II and the colonial governor. But historians argue that these colonial monuments were not built to advance the North. Instead, they served as symbols of imperial control.
Some of these colonial legacies were established to facilitate colonial domination of the people and their resources. So when Sardona and the likes of Tafawa Balewa came on board, as well as Nnamdi Azikiwe, Awolowo and the likes, they decided to change the narration. They decided to focus on how best to develop their own regions and to compete with the colonial, government. And that is why you see many schools around.
The legacy of Sardona was people-focused. Institutions such as Radio Television Kaduna, now called Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, the Nigerian Defense Academy, the New Nigerian newspaper, the Northern Nigeria Development Company NNDC, the Hamdallah Hotel, the Ahmadu Bello Stadium, and Ahmadu Bello University stand as lasting reminders of his vision for education, economic growth, and social development. First News Kaduna.
Back to other stories, the prolonged conflict over the relocation of the Gwari market from Tashanlau to Kona Ward in Jalingo has reached a turning point. Jalingo Local Government Council, in collaboration with the market's executive members, has now allowed the Gwari market to continue operating on a rent basis. To this end, business owners are now sent to elect new leaders to guide the affairs of the market. The report.
Earlier this year, controversy erupted when some executive members of the Gwari Market Association, in collaboration with the Jalingo Local Government Council, allegedly sold the market located at Tashanlau in Turaki A Ward. The development led to an order for traders to relocate to Magwe in Kona Ward, a move many traders rejected, saying the new site is unsuitable for their business operations. They argued that the relocation sparked internal conflict and weakened business activities, causing instability in prices and market operations. Several traders told Trust TV that the Tashanlau Gwari market remains more strategic for their trade as it is closer to the main Jalingo market, where most of them source or deliver their goods. They warned that moving the market to Kona would significantly reduce customer turnout.
We have no objection to the location of the Gwari market from Tanshan Lao to Koma. Whatever decision our leaders make is fine by us. These goods are seasonal. Sometimes they are cheap, other times they are expensive. We sell goods that we used to buy from the Tansan Lao Gwari market. We prefer to remain at the Tansan Lao because the area is closer and more familiar to us. The new location they want us to move to is not convenient due to security concerns. We would rather remain at Tansan Lao because it's closer and safer for both traders and customers.
Some residents also share similar concerns, saying they rely on the Tashanlau market for affordable perishable goods. They added that the current location is easily accessible on foot, unlike Kona, which requires extra transport costs of up to 500 naira for a round trip. They called on the market leadership and the council to reconsider the relocation plan in the interest of traders and customers.
And I'm a resident of Turaki Ward. I believe the Gwari market should remain where it is currently because many people in town benefit from it. Sometimes traders even give us goods for free, and with just 500 naira you can fill a leather bag with food items. If the market is moved to Mugoi, transportation costs alone exceed 500 naira. We are calling on the government to allow the market to stay where it is, as many residents rely on it for daily survival.
The issue of leadership has been resolved, and as a matter of fact, I think it's good for them to remain where they wish is better for them to stay. They really enjoy staying around the area, and I think there's no grudges anymore.
Meanwhile, traders say electing new leaders is key to restoring peace and stability in the market. They believe introducing credible and transparent leadership will help rebuild confidence and protect members' interests.
We selected some young people whom we believe can serve us with fairness and justice to lead the association. This decision follows the many challenges we faced in the past under the leadership of the Gwari Association. We decided to take new steps to address those problems and move our business forward. Leadership, I must say, requires patience because you are responsible for many people's welfare. I have held several positions within the Gwari leadership, and we have learned that no matter what you do, good or bad, people will always talk. That's why I sympathize with those who have now been chosen to lead. I urge them to ignore distractions and focus on their duties and responsibilities.
Some aspirants for leadership positions advise members to remain united, shun sentiments, and focus on strengthening the association for collective progress.
I am contesting for the position of auditor in our upcoming election to select new leaders. We want to change the negative narrative of the past leadership. As young people chosen to contribute to the association's progress, we are committed to justice and transparency in all our activities. Vice Chairman. I am contesting for the position of Vice President of our union to correct some of the mistakes made by the previous leadership. A lot has gone wrong. For instance, the market which belongs to us was sold without our knowledge, and now we operate here as tenants. If selected, we will restore peace and ensure justice for all members, and create a conducive environment that supports our business and satisfies our customers.
Elders of the market also appealed to who would be leaders to be God-fearing and work towards ending the long-standing conflict to ensure the survival and growth of their businesses.
In business, the Central Bank of Nigeria is set to inaugurate the CBN Governor's annual lecture series as a flagship platform to groom future leaders in monetary policy and nation building. The Apex Bank stated this on Tuesday that the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Olayemi Cardoso, is scheduled to deliver a lecture at the Lagos Business School on Friday, October the 3rd, 2025. The lecture, titled Next Generation Leadership in Monetary Policy and Nation Building, marks the launch of the CBN Governor's Lecture Series, the first in a series of thought leadership discourses to be held in collaboration with the leading tertiary institutions across the country over the next 3 years. This inaugural edition also commemorates the second anniversary of Team Cardoso's leadership at the Central Bank of Nigeria, a period defined by a renewed focus on price stability, institutional transparency, and anchoring monetary policy to the everyday realities of Nigerians. The Governor's Lecture Series, part of Cardoso's broader knowledge acceleration and thought leadership initiative, is central to the CBN's strategy of deepening public understanding and strengthening the transmission of monetary policy. From the foreign scene, a South African court on Wednesday found opposition leader Julius Malema guilty of violating firearms laws after he fired an assault rifle during a 2018 political rally. Malema, who leads the radical leftist Economic Freedom Fighters, and his former bodyguard were charged for discharging the weapon in the air at the party's 5th anniversary celebration in Eastern Cape Province. The court convicted him of unlawful possession of a firearm, reckless endangerment, and related offenses, according to the National Prosecuting Authority. Julius Malema now faces up to 15 years in prison with pre-sentencing proceedings scheduled for January the 23rd, 2026. At least 69 people have been killed and more than 150 injured following a powerful 6.9 magnitude earthquake that struck the coast city of Cebu in the Philippines Central Visayas region. The earthquake that rocked the nation before 10 p.m. on Tuesday led to power outages along with the collapse of a few buildings and infrastructure, including bridges. This marks one of the country's most devastating disasters in 2025. Earthquake monitoring agencies had pegged the depth of the quake at around 10 kilometers, that is 6.2 miles, and recorded multiple aftershocks, the strongest having a magnitude of 6.9. Another monitoring agency said there was no tsunami threat following the quake. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. assured survivors of swift assistance, saying cabinet secretaries were on ground directing relief operations as he expressed his condolences to those who lost loved ones. For sport updates, let's join Adeyemi Ajeshafe.
Nigeria has a rich history of producing talented athletes who have made significant contributions. Nigeria achieved great moments conquering the world in boxing, football, athletics, basketball, and Paralympic Games. The Tiger made his place in boxing history, winning the WBA middleweight title in 1962. In football, 1984 AFCON title win in Lagos, where the Green Eagles conquer Africa, defeating Algeria 3-0 in the final, opened doors to 2 more AFCON titles, while the Super Falcons have ruled Africa for 10 times in 13 Women Africa Cup of Nations. At the youth level, Nigeria Golden Eagles have won the Under-17 trophy 5 times. The World Cup sensational debut in the USA 94 still brings joyous memories. The first African nation to win gold in football at the Olympics. In athletics, Chioma Ajunwa edged her name into Nigerian sporting history at the 1996 Atlanta Olympics, becoming the first Nigerian and African woman to win an Olympic gold in long jump. The quartet of Clement Chukwu, Jude Moye, Late Sunday Bada, and NFL Gudobong achievement in 4x400 meter relay made history at 2000 Sydney Olympics, winning silver medal elevated to gold in 2012 following the disqualification of the US team for doping. World record holder Tobi Amusan added more spice to Nigerian sporting legacy, winning the 2022 World Athletics in 100 meter women's hurdle. Nigeria D Tigers claimed their fourth ever Afro-Basket Championship in 2015, defeating Angola in the final, while Nigerians remain proud of D Tigers with their remarkable dominance in Africa, winning the FIBA Women's Afro-Basket Trophy 5 consecutive times. Nigeria Paralympians have won over 70 medals, including setting world records in para-powerlifting. Notably, Oyinyechi marks gold and world record in women's para-powerlifting at Paris 2024.
All the sport moments, because of they are all gladiators, they are good. So we can't say this one is better. But so far, according to the question, I would say Atlanta 96. So because that's when you see the zeal of you want to be a champion. Everybody is trying to make names. All the players are there to make one or two things just to establish yourself. So I was making Atlanta 96.
Okay, it's Nigeria Atlanta 96, which Kano and Okocha were involved, and they played very well, which at least I could remember that we won the game against the team we played with that very day, which the game later ended 4-3 at the scores. After then, a heartbreak I get if I watch the ball.
Sports sector at G Shafe.
And that concludes this Wednesday's edition of News Hour on Trust TV. Do not forget to follow us across all our media platforms and join our YouTube live stream for more news. Thank you for watching. I'm Muhammad Kuda Abubakar.